Hey guys, it's your boy Cino. Thank you for stopping by my channel. Today we have a very special guest, and his name is.
Crispy Chris 62, your gaming gentleman.
And today we are just having a little bit of a podcast to talk about The Witcher 3 and a few other things that are going on in the gaming community. Crispy actually has a announcement for me, I guess. Anyways, the floor is to you.
Yeah, we are so happy because, as you know, I'm from the EXG Admin for Extreme Xbox Gamers, and we're basically looking for people to represent EXG on their YouTube channels. And I feel C-Note has always been great. He's uploading every day actually. And we feel that it's just got to be great when it comes to the EX community. So it's my pleasure to welcome C-Note to the EXG YouTube Nation.
Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it because being able to collaborate between all of us, being able to come together as a community, is the biggest part of this whole thing. That way, we can all share each other's love and passion for the games. And again, thank you, and Danny Kyle. He's the founder of EXG. Anyways, thanks. So I guess what we can do is just go ahead and start talking about The Witcher 3 and some of the stuff that we're excited about and all the graphics and stuff.
Yeah.
Where do you want to begin, Crispy?
Well, first of all, let's just talk about The Witcher 3. I think it's fair enough to say that we've all got The Witcher 3. I've never actually met anyone yet who hasn't purchased The Witcher 3. And for anyone you're watching this now who hasn't purchased The Witcher 3, what are you doing? You need to purchase this game. I've seen some posts about, is The Witcher 3 worth it? Is The Witcher 3 really up to its standard? Is it really 200 hours plus? Or can The Witcher 3 satisfy my craving for the next RPG installment ever since Skyrim left us with a big hole in our hearts? Now, I did a post on WeGame here about that question. And I think we can both say that The Witcher 3 is one of the best RPGs I've ever played, coming into the likes of Skyrim, Fallout, and Red Dead Redemption. It's like Red Dead Redemption and Skyrim had a baby, The Witcher 3 was born. And, The Witcher 3 is absolutely amazing. So I think we should just start off with saying, what would you say, C-Note, to someone who says, should I purchase The Witcher 3?
Well, I would say, because first of all, I'm a first-person shooter kind of guy. That's what I play. That's what I love to play. I've played Skyrim. I've played Red Dead Redemption, and I've loved all those games. But I wasn't as into them as I was Call of Duty, and I was never torn away from Call of Duty. But this is for the people that are asking, hey, is this game worth it? I can honestly tell you that this has been the only game that has torn me, not just taken me, has torn me away from Call of Duty. That's all I play now is The Witcher 3. It's an amazing game. The graphics are amazing. The combat system is awesome. It took a little bit of a learning curve on that one, just saying. And man, I just got to say, if you have not purchased this game, please go out and buy it as soon as possible. It is worth the money, and they have so much DLC coming out for it. Oh man, it is. Oh, I can't stress how exciting that is.
It's absolutely amazing. A lot of people said that because it's not just about the scope. The Witcher 3 is humongous. You have about, I think it's 5 districts, I think, or maybe 4 districts, each different world, and they're each different. You have the starting world, the tutorial world, and that is absolutely massive. And when I first loaded up The Witcher 3, I was like, wow, this is massive. I didn't realize that it's just the tutorial world. And you have to all these other worlds, and when you get to these other worlds like Novigrad and the islands, and they're just so phenomenal. And what is great about The Witcher 3 is that it isn't just about the scope, it's about the density. I have never seen a game so packed full of character, so many different characters. it's blown my mind that it's like normally in Skyrim and many other games, what they do is they copy and paste certain characters and then they just lay them out in this vast open world, and it feels really plain. But in this game, I swear I've never come across the same character twice. It's really different, you're really immersed in this world of The Witcher 3. So you have these really great characters, of course, Geralt of Rivia, and you have Yennefer, and you have Triss, which are sort of your accomplices, female mages, which they called the mages sort of the witches of the Witcher 3. And you meet so many characters, and I think we should just discuss about like what characters we've met.
Okay, well, if we want to go into that, I guess I want to first bring up the one of the missions that has stuck out to me, and that's the guy, the Bloody Baron, the warlord of Venice, Venice or whatever it's called. Velen, my bad. Yeah, he's just one of those characters that stood out to me because at the very beginning of the game, you run into a bunch of people that are desperate and poor and all that good stuff, and this guy. He is a big fat guy who is just absolutely he's so torn because of his family, and he's such a big guy that you would think, oh man, nothing would get to him. Well, you find out really quickly that this guy things get to him real well, and I don't know how to explain it better. What was your experience with the Bloody Baron?
Yeah, you see, this guy, he's a warlord, which means like no one ever asks him, no one backchats him. He is a warlord. He controls most of the guards in Velen. He's a powerful man. And then when you get to know this guy, you see straight away my first impressions were this is the guy that I do not want to mess with. He's really tough. He knows how to fight. And then because it's The Witcher 3, you get more into the story, and then you found out that he didn't want to show it, but he was breaking down inside because his wife and his daughter left him, and this whole quest is about finding what happened to his wife and daughter, and you get this entire story is about his secrets. He doesn't tell what originally goes on, so you go through this massive quest to find the wife and the daughter, and then you realize that he's being lying to you, and that he's just a lying person, and then you some people may feel sympathy and some people really hate him. I myself felt quite sympathetic at the end.
Yeah, I can honestly agree with you on that. I felt sympathetic too. In fact, I was so sympathetic towards his thing that I actually tried to help him out in many different ways. I actually went and helped him go search for his daughter. I helped him search for his wife, and my choices actually ended up because me and you were talking before this, and my choices actually ended up actually hurting the family more than helping them. Even though I was trying to help the best I could, it just ended badly.
Yeah, I did the same, but not quite the same as what you, because I had a different outcome. But I wanted to help the family, and I felt like I did that. I felt like I was choosing the right choices for me. I was like, because the end goal is to get the family back. And I felt like I did that, but it turned out that his wife had gone into these magic spells, and that she's deranged, and there's no way she's going to return back. And you really did feel heartfelt for the Baron, and his daughter was quite angry about him. So you really had to pick sides with the daughter or him. And because he used to hit his wife and hit his daughter, so you felt as if you were torn between the daughter and him. And in the end, I chose him only because I felt like he's gone through so much, and also he was the only person willing to help his wife.
Exactly. The daughter actually ended up not even caring towards his dad. Actually, in my storyline, she said that you are not my father, no matter the blood ties or anything. You are not my father. And I felt for Baron. I really did. But at that point of learning all this information about her and all that good stuff,
Mm.
it was too late. I had already made the choices I made, and as you may have seen, hopefully you have seen the photo that I put up just a minute ago. Uh, he actually ended up hanging himself. He ended up killing himself. And sorry for the spoiler alert. This is going to be a huge spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't played this game. But there's so many different avenues to actually beat this game that it may not be a spoiler for you. But yeah, he ended up hanging himself, and it made me feel really horrible because there was, Crispy, you know that guy that the sergeant, right?
Yeah.
What became of the sergeant in your storyline?
Um, but I'm not entirely sure who the sergeant is. Was that the one with the daughter?
No, the sergeant was the guy, kind of had a weird haircut, and would stop you every once in a while and say, "Hey, what's wrong with the Baron?" or whatever.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. Basically just left him to it. I never told him about the Baron.
Okay, so on mine, he actually takes control of Crow's Perch, like takes control of
Ah.
it 100%, and he's kind of a dick.
Well, because I didn't kill him, did I? He's still in control.
Yeah, yeah. Mine, the Bloody Baron ended up killing himself in mine. Sadly, I actually
Yeah,
ended up liking him.
yeah. Also, talking about the Witcher 3 characters, you really do meet some amazing characters. And each have their own story. Sometimes, even before you start the quests, you can meet these characters like just strolling around the world of The Witcher 3 on horseback. You come across this person, and you'll see them like doing the laundry or whatever, and then you wouldn't care. Um, and then further down the line, they're involved in this massive epic quest that you didn't realize until then, and all the story they told you before that you didn't really take into consideration, because everything is sort of linked together. If you've done one quest, that can affect another quest, and sometimes your choices really do make a difference. Sometimes games say, specifically like Gears of War and some other games, where they say the choices you make the game different. Well, in The Witcher 3, I've never seen a game stay true to that sentence ever, because it is. I know, like me and Cino really have experienced this, where choices you make really do make a difference. And like we said with the Baron, making our different choices, even though they were maybe the slightest choices that we didn't have a clue. I know one option was, there was this, and you could either give it to the daughter, or don't bother giving it to the daughter, and maybe it's just a little choice that you think that will never make a difference, but it does. And it can mean, it's so minor that it can either mean that someone's dying or someone to not die, and it's so amazing that The Witcher 3 can do this. What do you think about the choices?
Oh man, the choices are crazy. I mean, man, going back to the very beginning of the game where you're helping the dwarf out. I don't know if you did that where his house was actually burnt down.
Yes, I did.
Okay, I think we actually made the same choice on this. I'm not sure, but you go and talk to this dwarf, and he's a very interesting guy. He's being persecuted by his own people because he's helping out the black ones, and the black ones are just it's just another army taking over an area, and he's just trying to survive. Well, this guy who his mother was killed by the black ones, actually came to burn down his house because he was
Yeah.
so he was so heartbroken that the dwarf was actually helping out the black ones. Well, he burned down the house and he escaped and all that good stuff. And of course, Geralt of Riviera chases him down, figures out what's going on, and you have to make a choice. And this choice could mean it was crazy because you in your mind you're thinking, okay, this guy needs to come and face justice, or at least talk to the guy. Well, that decision ends badly for at least the guy that burned down the house. He actually gets hanged because of this.
Yeah, that's the choice I did, and the fact was, I didn't realize he would be hanged. I thought maybe he'll be punished, maybe you'll take some money from him, but that was a really cruel punishment. I wasn't expecting that, but it was the dilemma of, if I let this guy go, he's just going to burn down houses again, and he's not going to be justified. There's not going to be any justice. In his defense, you know, he was drunk and he didn't know what he was doing, and you know, you have to really make these choices, and they really do make a difference.
Exactly. And for me, it seems that every time that I make a good choice that seems good, that helps out people, it ends up killing a lot more people. And that's just my experience with it. You know, I try to be the good guy.
Yeah, and what, you know, The Witcher 3, what it does so well is, like, when you know, it doesn't really force you to make vast choices, but they're very difficult choices. The things that you face, like, there's a quest where someone turns into a werewolf, and you have a choice whether to give away to an entire village that he's a werewolf, and that you shouldn't trust him, and that you should burn him because he's a werewolf. Or you could decide not to tell the story about the werewolf, so that everyone lives in peace, everyone gets with their own lives. But you know, you do feel for these that I've never really felt in a long time, really engrossed in these stories. They're just absolutely amazing. And what helps with these stories is sometimes, like, I'll talk about a bit about the music from The Witcher 3. Sometimes, like, the music comes when you're making a difficult choice, and like really sad music, or really happy music, and it's so immersive. And you know, you never really have to face these difficult decisions, but you really do in The Witcher.
Exactly. Man, like you were saying earlier, there's been many games that have said, hey, you know, the choices you make will change the game and how you play it. But this game has just it tears at you. It tears at you at the lowest level it possibly can. It again, like you were saying, the biggest choices in the game are the easiest choices. The smallest ones are the hardest because they have the most moral dilemma in them.
Yeah. So also, well, let's talk a bit about the soundtrack of The Witcher 3. I am telling you now that it is so well done, and just like, not just the soundtrack, but the audio effects and the special effects are absolutely amazing. When you walk into a tavern, like, it's different each time. It's not just copied and pasted sound. Like, the more people you have in the tavern, the more louder it is, and that's what's really great. And the music is phenomenal. I mean, sometimes you'll be in a quest where I've know it, like, making difficult decisions, and it'd be pouring down with rain, it'll be really stormy, then the music will come on, and it really creates this effect. And the music is one of the best soundtracks ever in a game, since Red Dead Redemption. I remember that soundtrack, that was phenomenal. But this soundtrack is absolutely amazing. One that it doesn't get boring. You know, it's different each time. And what's great about this is that if you're in combat, the soundtrack comes on in the combat music, and as soon as you're out of that combat, it switches the music. And it's really clever how they did it, in a way that, you know, most RPGs really should take note of this Witcher 3 soundtrack. And it's different each district you go to, like the city. It's different music each time, which is brilliant.
I can completely agree with you on all that. And you're again, you're talking about the soundtrack and how things change, and how RPGs should actually look at this game as a model of what the next generation of gaming should be, because that's what we're going for. Is we're going for the next gen. We're pushing past the limits of just being okay with the games that come out. Um, I know for a fact that not for a fact. This game was in production for what, 5 years, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man, 5 years, 5 years to make this game. Call of Duty has a game that I play on a regular basis for a long time was on a 2 year
3 year, yeah.
roundabout. Now it's on a 3 year, which is giving them more time to make the game better and better. Now that I think honestly, I would rather have a few games come out a year and have the standards that this game has put out. And that is what
Yes.
I want to see in our gaming community from now on. I want to see the games that'll just blow your mind. I don't care if they're delayed for a couple of years, as long as they
Yeah.
come out as good as this game.
And they put, what's great about The Witcher is that they put polish on that game. It's not a rushed game. They have taken their time so much. I mean, every nook and cranny of The Witcher 3 is crammed. Like The Witcher 3, just going down the street, you see some cockroaches on the ground. A fruit bowl with actual fruit in it. A pint of beer with actual beer in it. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, detail. And detail is very important because it creates an immersive and a fantastic world. Games that have done this exceedingly well is Grand Theft Auto 5 and Assassin's Creed Unity, who put that detail in their games, that delivered a long cycle, because those are the games that have had a long cycle. And everyone knows if you have a long cycle with a game, your game turns out to be really polished. And I feel that it is so shown here with The Witcher 3, so much so that they've put these extra tiny details, whether it be the clothing, whether it be the hairstyles, the ability to shave your beard, the different quests, everything about that game is polished. And what is great about this game is that it isn't just a copied and pasted. They have the art style is phenomenal, but they have literally cared about every corner of The Witcher 3. They haven't done any shortcuts with this game that I'm aware of.
Yes, I can agree with you on that too. I actually saw a post a while back, and not trying to divert anything, but you were talking about art. Those cutscenes where you actually load into the game where it's saying,
Yeah, yes.
the eternal fire and all that stuff. You haven't bowed or whatever, and it's kind of like a comic book.
Yeah, it is. I love that.
Well, people were actually complaining about that. I saw some people on one of the pages that I was on, and they were actually complaining that that was a shortcut they made. And for me, that was a step out of the box, a step towards something really amazing. Someone took the time to make that art and make it move.
And not just that, it's actually replacing sort of. I know there's loading when you get in it, but it isn't like full loading. I mean, you have that, and then you're basically near enough in the world. I mean, you have this amazing storyline, which is comic book style, like someone who narrates it, which I think, sometimes maybe you've gone away on holiday and you've come back to play The Witcher 3 and you don't really have a clue where you are. Well, this new like mini narration tells you all the story from what happened to now, and so it gets you straight into the game with knowing what's going to happen.
Exactly, and I really appreciate that Project CD. What Project CD is?
CD Project Red, yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate the time that they actually put into that they actually thought about that. Like, hey, you know what? They may be playing another game and then be lost, exactly like you were saying. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's. I'm telling you, I've said this thousands of times how incredible it is, but you really have to play it to see how incredible it is. It's good enough that we're talking about it, and that maybe you've seen some gameplay. But I'm telling you now, you really have to really think about purchasing this game. Maybe because, but Bowen is another example where he's never played a Witcher game. He's not really a fan of the RPG, and he just went in this game blindfolded. And he's loving it as well. He really does like that game. And what's great about, and we said this many of times in some podcasts, about The Witcher 3 does not require you to do The Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 in order to get The Witcher 3. There are choices that you make in The Witcher 3 that may be influence of what you did from The Witcher 2, but you can turn those off. And that's what's really great. From the start of the menu, it says, would you like to save, transfer, or would you want the decisions you make from The Witcher 2 make an impact in Witcher 3? And you can either turn that on and off. I turned it on because I played The Witcher 2 and I knew what was going to happen.
I didn't, because of course I've never played a Witcher game, so it wouldn't have helped them to actually try to load my save anyways.
Yeah, but did you leave it on or off?
Yeah, I left it on anyways, and I still had to make decisions.
Yeah, because it's the point where it does it is when you're shaving in the big city. I've forgotten the name, and then he comes to you with a notebook and asks you some questions.
Yep. And it was getting into some real detail, like things I wasn't even sure of, and I was like, yeah, sure, that one.
Yeah, exactly. See, I knew what was happening, but like some people may not have played The Witcher 2 like yourself, and so you can easily turn those off.
And personally, I actually enjoyed the questions because it leads to a little bit of confusion on what they're talking about. But if you make those decisions, you can actually go and watch some other people's videos that they've done from Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 and see how far off you were from the actual answers.
Yeah. And what's great, I think it's 6 months later after The Witcher 2, if I think I'm correct. I've heard them, like the Yennefer and Triss, say, "Oh, good to see you after 6 months," or something like that. But I wasn't aware of Siri, though. I wasn't aware of the daughter.
Which I'm a little confused on that, man. You've been a little bit further in the story. Is Siri actually his daughter, or is it someone that he claims?
I was a bit confused as well, and I don't know if someone who's played the story already, if you please clarify, but I think it's his daughter just purely because it's the ashen hair and she has magical abilities and some elder blood that the Wild Hunt are getting. And from the tutorial, it looks as if it's his daughter. But when you reach the main city, you meet the king who says, "My daughter has returned, Geralt. Please find my daughter." So I'm not entirely sure what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things because it leads up to because the dad, the claimed dad of Siri, does not look anything like him. Looks nothing like him.
I know. So I'm a bit confused. But then again, I don't know, like who's the mother and who's the father.
So it'll be exciting to see all that stuff. And I don't want to end it right here, but what I do want to say is if you haven't purchased this game, guys, me and Crispy Chris both give this. Well, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 just because it's an RPG that sets the standard for the future.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to give, and I'll give my reasons why, is a 9.5. Now, I give it a 0.5 purely on the, but it's an amazing game. It's one of the most fantastic, but there are some issues that I have encountered. One issue in particular, I was in the middle of the quest and it kicks me right back to the Xbox home screen and it quit me out, and I had to do the entire quest again. But apparently there's a patch coming within the next week, so there's nothing for me to really complain about. And I did this in the impressions as well. Sometimes there are a few glitches. Sometimes people appear out of nowhere, or sometimes the horse can levitate if you go too close to the water. But it's just these minor things that will be fixed within a patch.
Yeah.
But I mean, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. They're absolutely amazing scores. And IGN and GameSpot, that GameSpot gave this a 10 out of 10, which is absolutely fantastic.
Exactly. And the reason I was giving it a 10 out of 10 is because whenever I go into a game and minor glitches pop up and stuff like that, I just put that to the side as thinking, oh, okay, this is a huge world. It's trying to render all this stuff at the same time, and I guess it just goes into the back of my head like, oh, okay, that'll be patched out soon. So I'm okay.
It's not game breaking. And I mean, even though you see it, you turn a blind eye because it's not as if it takes you out of the experience. These glitches, because there's not really many glitches, and considering how big this game, I was expecting more glitches. Really.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything else you really want to talk about before we kind of end this off?
Yeah, just about how, like I said, how brilliant The Witcher is, how everyone should be getting this game, and also about how this is the RPG I would say of the decade since Skyrim. It's right up there with the greatest games of all time. I'm telling you now that this is also value for money. Games nowadays, Battlefield Hardline, for example, I paid full price for that game, and I felt like I only got a small, tiny sliver, even though it's a shooter, compared to The Witcher. And there was this post that says one quest in The Witcher is more than the entire game of Destiny. And and actually that is pretty actually accurate, because I'm telling you now, you're going to get lost in this world, and not many games do that. So The Witcher for me is one of the best games of all time, and I can say that for a fact. And also, just to really finish off, is about, I think we're both going to do a review sometime when we finish it. We'll probably be in 4 years' time, because it's going to take forever. But when we do finish it, there'll be reviews up.
All right, man. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to do a review. I'm going to finish the game off just like you said you are, and I can't wait to do that. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait to see the decisions that you've made, how they finish off, and the decisions I've made, because I'm kind of curious on seeing all that, because there's 32 endings to this game. So yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be here for decades.
I know, because I'm gonna get all 32 of them. I am.
Yeah. Well, this is a game that can take you to November.
Exactly. All right, man. Well, that's really all the time that we have today. I actually have to get off. My daughter's gonna be waking up pretty soon. So, but thank you again for stopping by the channel. It's always a pleasure having you.
No problem, Sino, and hopefully catch you next time.
All right, man. Well, peace out.